Adolf Hitler could hold the title of the most hated man in the world. He was that bad. Aside from maintaining the public image of a chaste man, Hitler had some peculiar secrets he kept from the rest of the world. These secrets have long been a topic of debate by scholars and historians alike because they're that interesting. Keep your eyes glued to your screen because these are secrets about the sexual kinks, fetishes, and tendencies of the Nazi leader that are so strange you won't see them coming. Poo fetish and incest. A range of sexual fetishes are reported to have been secretly nursed by the Nazi head. One of them is coprophilia, which involves sexual arousal from feces. American intelligence released a report in 1943 that described Hitler as an impotent coprophile and claimed that he made his niece, Gellie, urinate and defecate on him often. It also claims that he repeatedly had sex with her for as long as 6 years. Otto Strasser, a defector from Nazi Germany, would claim that Gellie said that Hitler had demanded the most repulsive sexual acts and he enjoyed being peed on during sex. Angela Maria Gellie-Rabal, actually his half-niece, was a woman that Hitler was absolutely obsessed with. Coming to live with him at the age of 17 years old, she was 19 years younger than he was, and Adolf had a forceful way with women. It was stated in a popular biography of Hitler that their relationship had a very strong sexual dependence about it, so could it have been a coercive relationship? Whether or not Hitler's niece was actually happy in the relationship is something that is not very commonly known, but judging by the next set of events, claiming that she was a happy woman would be quite far-fetched. She would commit suicide with Hitler's firearm in his apartment. After Gellie had shot herself in Hitler's apartment in Munich, he declared that she was the only woman that he had ever loved. Although it was ruled a suicide, rumors actually state that she was killed by none other than Hitler himself. For now, the world may never truly know. Did the Führer like men? Since the early 1920s, there have been strong rumors that have surfaced about Hitler having subdued homosexual tendencies. His close relationship with a popularly known homosexual politician by the name of Ernst Röhm further justifies that claim. Röhm, an early Nazi Party member, was also known to be homosexual. He tried so hard to separate his personal and work life, but to no avail. In 1930, when he returned to Germany to be appointed head of Sturmabteilung, everything began to fall apart. A scandal broke loose. Hitler and his ally defended Röhm throughout the said scandal, as Röhm completely lost support from the Nazi Party. This considerate action has led historians to believe that there was indeed something more going on between those two men. Röhm is said to be the only person on a first-name basis with Hitler, as he fondly referred to him as Adolf. In addition, Ernst Sedgwick Hanfstaengl, a close ally of Hitler from the 1920s up to the 1930s, provided some related information about Hitler's early life. He claims that his sex life seemed to be influenced by where Hitler had lived as a young artist. Hitler's teenage home, a Viennese hostel, had a strong reputation for being the location where older men went to seek the homosexual pleasures of much younger men. Nevertheless, Hitler was also seen to have loose relationships with women. He was frequently spotted with various actresses after plays and opera performances, and these women would go back to his apartment with him from the theater for special performances of their own. This would lead people to believe that his sexuality covered more than just one part of the spectrum. It would be believed that he was actually bisexual. A declassified report from U.S. intelligence in 1943 stated that he was homosexual and heterosexual, the duality being quite similar to his political outlook as well, as he was perceived to be both socialist and nationalist at the same time. 50 Shades of Hitler. Knowing what Hitler was capable of, sadomasochism practices almost fit too perfectly. Yes, he was kinky. Accused countless times, Robert Kaplan, an Australian professor, stated that Hitler internalized the things that he did not fancy about his life, which included loss. He would then project this rage onto everyone he knew. One with this behavior could strongly inflict pain, suffering, and humiliation during sex, and these accusations are not far-fetched in the slightest. Hitler suffered savage beatings from his father, a man likened to an iron fist, a sour, hot-tempered man who kept a reputation as master of his domain. An actress by the name of Renate Müller from the theater who Hitler had picked up for one of his special private performances then began rumors of sadomasochism and self-abasement. She would state that Hitler used to kneel at her feet and asked her to kick him during sex. That's quite the strong contrast from the Nazi strongman and dictator that everyone was familiar with. Müller fell from a window to her death shortly afterwards in 1937, which drew suspicion of murder, although her death would ultimately be ruled suicide. Porn addiction was not left out. Almost like it never ends, Hitler was also a porn and masturbation addict, alongside being a voyeur, one who derived sexual pleasure from watching others engage in sexual activity. He drew pornographic images of his niece and wrote her sexually explicit letters. The official photographer for the Nazi Party would state that Hitler had drafted him to supply pornographic films, which he played most nights in his private theater at the Chancellery. And when he became Führer, his personal doctors certainly had some information. Perhaps low on libido and spending his nights occupied with pornography, they mentioned that he had a very poor sleeping pattern, took sleeping potions, and was pumped full of amphetamines and bull semen in order to boost his libido. The deranged mind of a terrifying pedophile. You would think that his niece Gelly, who was only 17 years old while he was close to 40, alongside all of the other younger women that he had picked up at theaters and opera, would be enough to prove that Hitler was a pedophile. Popularly known to have a taste for much younger women whom he would mold into submission, Hitler's pedophilia goes a long way back. It goes way back to when he was but a high school boy. In the town of Linz in rural Austria, Hitler became obsessed with a much younger girl from a local school in town. Stephanie Isaac, his young obsession, walked home each evening from school. Hitler would stand on the same street corner by 5 p.m., and Hitler would watch her go back home every day for up to 4 years. He was simply too shy to speak to her. However, one evening, as he stalked the young girl, he believed, for some reason, that she had avoided turning to look at him on purpose, and he then became filled with rage. His friend would mention very ghastly information in his memoirs, that Hitler had curated a plan to kidnap Stephanie, drag the young girl to the bridge, and then throw her and himself into the Danube River right below. It's no surprise that the same person with this thought process was said to have initiated the Holocaust. Continue to gain great information about the 20th century's bloodiest Battle of Stalingrad in 1942 to 1943 by tapping the video on your screen right now.